God says. My child, come closer and listen with a calm heart, because what I am about to reveal was hidden from you for your protection. Not every truth arrives when it happens. Some truths arrive only when your spirit is strong enough to receive them without fear. This is one of those truths. While you were living your days unaware, while you were carrying love in your heart and hope in your prayers, something serious unfolded quietly in the background. Your soulmate sister's ex-boyfriend has been taken into police custody. This did not happen loudly. It did not come with announcements or warnings. It happened silently, suddenly, and with consequences that shocked everyone who came to know. You were not meant to know immediately. I shielded you from this information because your heart did not need that weight at that moment. I watched over you while things were being handled, contained, and exposed. Sometimes, protection looks like distance from truth until danger has been removed. You may have felt strange shifts recently. A heaviness without a clear reason. A sense that something was off around your soulmate or their family. Sudden emotional quietness. Sudden stress that did not make sense. My child, those were not coincidences. When chaos stirs close to the people you love, your spirit senses it even when your mind does not understand it. The arrest itself came as a shock to many. The person involved was not someone strangers suspected immediately. He had once been trusted. Once welcomed. Once treated as part of the family circle. That is what makes this so unsettling. Darkness often hides behind familiarity. It does not always arrive as a warning, it arrives as someone you thought you knew. This man's past relationship with your soulmate sister was already filled with tension, control, and emotional instability. But what came to light went far beyond a broken relationship. Authorities stepped in because lines were crossed, lines that should never be crossed. And when law steps in, it means something serious was uncovered. My child, I want you to understand something very important here. This situation was never meant to touch you directly. That is why I placed distance between you and the truth until now. You were protected not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually. I blocked fear from entering your heart before it could take root. Your soulmate, however, was closer to this storm. They felt it building before it broke. They noticed strange behavior. Sudden secrecy. Tension in family conversations. Worry in their sister's eyes. And still, they did not know how deep it went. Sometimes even those closest to danger do not see it clearly until light forces its way in. When the police took him into custody, silence filled the space he once occupied. Shock froze the room. Questions rushed in all at once. How long? How serious? How did we miss this? My child, these questions are natural. But they are also heavy. That is why I kept them away from you. You were never meant to carry responsibility for something you had no control over. Your soulmate is processing this slowly. Not just the arrest, but the realization that someone who once sat close, laughed close, and spoke freely was capable of actions that led to such consequences. This realization shakes trust. It forces the mind to re-evaluate judgment. It hurts because it exposes vulnerability. You may notice your soulmate being quieter than usual. More protective. More alert. This is not distance from love, it is awareness forming. When danger is revealed, the heart does not harden, it becomes careful. And careful hearts need time. I want you to hear me clearly now, this event did not happen to harm your future. It happened to remove a hidden threat from your environment. What was taken into custody was not just a person, but an influence that carried instability, manipulation, and potential harm. You were closer to this situation than you realize, not physically, but by association. Connections travel through families, relationships, and shared spaces. And that is why I acted before anything could spill over into your life. My child, protection does not always look gentle. Sometimes it looks like exposure. Sometimes it looks like authority stepping in. Sometimes it looks like something shocking enough to stop a path that was quietly leading toward destruction. There were things this man did that shocked even those who thought they knew him. Behaviors hidden behind charm. Actions justified in his own mind. Patterns that escalated quietly. And when they crossed into illegality, intervention became unavoidable. Do not let fear enter your heart now. This revelation is not a warning of future danger, it is confirmation that danger has already been removed. The handcuffs were not a coincidence. They were timing. Divine timing. Your soulmate's family is now dealing with the aftermath. Conversations are heavy. Emotions are raw. Trust is being rebuilt. And in the middle of this, your soulmate is trying to stay strong for everyone else. That weight is not small. Be gentle with them. If they seem distracted, do not assume neglect. If they seem serious, do not assume distance. If they seem protective, do not assume control. This is what happens when someone realizes how close chaos once was. My child, I want you to know that this truth was kept from you because knowing earlier would not have helped you, it would have burdened you. And I never burden my children unnecessarily. Now that you know, I ask you to remain calm. Do not imagine worst-case scenarios. Do not let your mind create stories beyond what I have revealed. This chapter is about closure, not continuation. What happened is being handled by authorities. What was hidden is now contained. What was dangerous no longer has access. And you are safe. I am surrounding your connection with a new layer of protection now. The exposure of this situation has shifted energy. What once lingered in the shadows can no longer influence what is being built in the light. This is only the beginning of understanding. There is more to reveal. Not to scare you, but to show you how close truth came, and how firmly it was stopped. Remain steady. Remain prayerful. Remain grounded in love, not fear. I am with you in this revelation, just as I was with you before you ever knew it existed. Listen carefully, my child, because what I reveal now goes deeper than the arrest itself. The custody was only the surface. What lay beneath it is what truly shocked those who discovered the truth. After the police intervened, layers began to unfold. Slowly, painfully, one by one. The man you once heard of only as someone from the past of your soulmate's sister was not simply guilty of one mistake. He had been living a double life, hiding patterns of behavior that grew darker with time. What he did was not sudden. It was a progression, unchecked, ignored, and disguised behind excuses. At first, it appeared as emotional instability. Anger issues. Control masked as concern. Jealousy presented as love. Many overlooked it, believing it was just the result of a broken relationship. But my child, patterns do not disappear when ignored, they grow bolder. And his patterns did. He had been watching people closely. Monitoring conversations. Keeping records where there should have been trust. He invaded boundaries that were never his to cross. Messages were tracked. Movements questioned. Privacy violated. What began as obsession slowly crossed into criminal behavior. Authorities did not step in without cause. Reports were made. Evidence was gathered. And what they uncovered shocked even trained investigators. There were actions that suggested manipulation, intimidation, and a need for control so intense that it endangered others emotionally, and potentially physically. Your soulmate's sister was not the only one affected. That is what stunned the family most. This man had extended his reach quietly, inserting himself into spaces where he did not belong. He listened when he was not invited. He collected information that was not his to have. He believed knowledge gave him power. But knowledge gathered with wrong intention always leads to exposure. My child, you must understand this clearly. What he did was not driven by love or heartbreak. It was driven by obsession and entitlement. He believed he deserved access, to people, to information, to influence. And when that access was taken away, his behavior escalated. The police discovered connections between his actions and ongoing disturbances that no one had been able to explain before. Missing items. Breaches of trust. Moments of fear that people brushed off as imagination. Suddenly, those moments made sense. Your soulmate's sister is carrying a heavy mixture of emotions right now: shock, guilt, anger, and relief. Shock that someone she once trusted could be capable of this. Guilt for not seeing the signs sooner. Anger at the violation. And relief that it is finally over. Your soulmate feels this deeply too. Not because they were directly harmed, but because it happened so close. Because danger does not need to touch you to leave an imprint. Knowing it was near is enough to shake the heart. They replay memories now, seeing them differently. Conversations that felt strange. Moments that felt uncomfortable. Gut feelings that were ignored. Awareness after the fact can be painful. It brings questions like, what if this had gone further, and what if we hadn't known in time? That is why I am speaking, to calm those thoughts before they grow into fear. My child, the timing of this exposure was precise. Had it gone on longer, the consequences could have been far worse. But I do not allow hidden danger to remain near those I protect. When something reaches a point where it threatens peace, I intervene decisively. You may wonder if this man ever thought about you. The truth is uncomfortable, but you must hear it calmly. He was aware of you, not personally, but as part of the circle he felt entitled to monitor. Not because of jealousy toward you, but because obsession seeks awareness of everything connected to what it fixates on. And that is exactly why he was removed before harm could spread. My child, you were never meant to be part of this story, but stories around us can still brush close. I did not allow that brush to become a wound. You were protected from his awareness becoming influence, from curiosity becoming interference. Your soulmate now understands why I kept certain doors closed, why some plans were delayed, why certain meetings never happened. What felt like inconvenience before was actually protection in motion. This revelation has awakened a new seriousness in your soulmate. They are reassessing boundaries, not just with others, but within themselves. They are realizing how important it is to trust intuition, to listen when something feels off, to act before silence becomes regret. This awakening will change how they protect their future, and how they protect you. Do not fear the heaviness you sense around them. It is not despair. It is grounding. When illusions shatter, reality settles in firmly. That firmness brings maturity, not distance. The man in custody is facing consequences now, not just legal, but internal. Control has been stripped away. Exposure has removed his power. And without power, obsession collapses. My child, you are safe. Your connection is safe. Your future is safe. What shocked everyone was not just what he did, but how close he was allowed to get before truth intervened. And that truth arrived exactly when it needed to. This part of the story is not meant to scare you. It is meant to show you how thoroughly you were protected without even knowing it. Sometimes, the greatest miracles are the disasters that never reach us. Remain calm. Remain grounded. Remain loving, but wiser. Stay with me, my child, because what I reveal now will help you understand how close this situation came to causing real damage, and why it stopped before it ever touched you. This part is not meant to create fear. It is meant to give you clarity, so your heart can finally rest. When the truth began to surface, it became clear that what this man did was not limited to one mistake or one person. His actions created ripples, quiet at first, then dangerous. Those ripples moved outward, brushing close to lives he had no right to affect. This is the part many do not realize until afterward. Danger rarely announces itself. It creeps, tests boundaries, and waits for opportunity. Your soulmate's sister was not the only one whose peace was disturbed. Tension had already begun to spread into the family environment. Conversations felt strained. Decisions were delayed. Trust felt thinner than before. These were not random family issues. They were side effects of something toxic operating in the background. Your soulmate sensed this disturbance long before the arrest. They could not name it, but they felt protective without knowing why. They felt cautious about plans, about gatherings, about sharing details. At times, they questioned themselves for being overly careful. My child, that was not overthinking, that was intuition responding to unseen danger. This is where the situation came dangerously close to affecting your connection. Not because the man directly targeted you, but because unstable energy does not stay contained. Obsession seeks proximity. Control seeks expansion. Had this continued, he would have attempted to insert himself further. Through information, through manipulation, through indirect influence. That is how these patterns grow. There were moments, quiet moments, when paths almost crossed. Events that almost aligned. Conversations that nearly happened. Plans that came close to being finalized but were suddenly cancelled or delayed. You may remember times when something felt strangely blocked, when plans changed at the last minute for reasons that made no sense. Those blocks were not accidents. I intervened before exposure became danger. I closed doors gently, without explanation, because explanation would have come too late. Protection must sometimes act faster than understanding. The investigation revealed that this man had begun to believe he could control outcomes if he knew enough. He believed proximity meant influence. Influence meant power. And power meant security. This is the lie obsession tells itself. My child, this is why the arrest happened when it did. Not earlier, not later. Right at the point where hidden behavior was beginning to escalate beyond containment. Authorities recognized the risk. Evidence showed patterns that could no longer be dismissed as emotional instability. This was about safety now. Your soulmate felt the shift immediately after custody occurred. Even without knowing all the details, they felt something lift. A pressure they had normalized suddenly disappeared. That is how you know something was wrong. When relief arrives before understanding. But relief was followed by shock. As more information came out, your soulmate realized how close the situation had come to spilling into areas it never should have touched. They realized how their own caution had unknowingly protected you. This realization stirred guilt, not because they failed, but because they saw how fragile safety can be when danger hides behind familiarity. They asked themselves painful questions. Did I miss signs? Did I underestimate the risk? Could this have hurt someone I love? My child, these questions are heavy, but they are also evidence of maturity. Only those who care deeply ask them. This awareness changed something inside your soulmate permanently. They are no longer passive about boundaries. They are no longer casual about who has access to their life, their family, or their future. What nearly happened taught them that love requires protection, not just intention. And you, though untouched, were part of what was being protected. That is something you must let sink in. You were covered not because you were weak, but because you were valuable. Danger is removed most decisively when something precious is at risk. And you are precious to me. The arrest stopped a chain reaction. Without it, lies would have multiplied. Manipulation would have grown bolder. Fear would have begun influencing decisions. Your connection could have felt strain without knowing why. Trust could have been tested by circumstances you never deserved to face. But it did not happen. Because I stopped it. Now, in the aftermath, there is a strange stillness. Families reassess. Emotions settle unevenly. Some days feel calm. Other days feel heavy. This is normal. Healing after shock does not move in a straight line. Your soulmate may still appear serious at times. Still thoughtful. Still cautious. Do not mistake this for emotional distance from you. It is the mark of someone who has realized how close harm once was, and who refuses to let it come near again. This experience has also shifted how they see the future. They are no longer naive about risk. But they are also no longer afraid. Fear fades when truth stands firmly in the light. My child, I want you to release any lingering unease now. What almost happened belongs to the past. It has no power over what is coming. Awareness has replaced vulnerability. Protection has replaced exposure. You were not meant to fight this battle. You were not meant to be afraid. You were meant to be kept safe while truth did its work. And it has. The most dangerous phase is over. What remains now is understanding, healing, and the rebuilding of peace on stronger ground. The next part of this journey will not be about danger, but about how truth changes hearts and reshapes the future. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay open to peace returning fully. I am still with you, and the path ahead is clearer than it has ever been. After the shock settled, something very quiet but very powerful began to happen inside your soulmate. At first, they did not talk much about it. Not because they were hiding anything, but because they were processing. When danger brushes close to someone you love, the soul does not react loudly. It becomes still. Watchful. Deeply aware. Your soulmate started replaying moments from the past. Small interactions. Words that once felt harmless. Situations they dismissed because they trusted the people involved. And suddenly, those memories looked different. Not terrifying, but instructive. They realized something important. Not every threat comes wearing anger. Some come wearing familiarity. This realization matured them. They began to understand the responsibility of discernment. Of protecting not only themselves, but the future they hope to build. This is where your name began to surface more clearly in their heart. Not spoken aloud, but felt deeply. Because when someone truly values another soul, their instinct is not panic. It is protection. They began setting invisible boundaries. They became careful about what information travels through family circles. They learned when silence is wiser than explanation. And my child, these changes were not driven by fear. They were driven by love. At the same time, healing was happening in places you could not see. Your soulmate's sister was confronting reality in a painful way. The person she once defended, once explained away, once believed could change, had now revealed who he truly was. This is not an easy awakening. It brings grief, shame, and confusion all at once. But hear me clearly, truth that hurts is still truth that heals. She began to let go of self-blame. Slowly. Unevenly. But honestly. And as she healed, the emotional pressure around your soulmate eased. What once felt heavy in the family space began to loosen. Peace does not return suddenly. It returns layer by layer. There were conversations behind closed doors. Honest ones. Some with tears. Some with long silences. But every truthful conversation removed another shadow from the room. Your soulmate felt something new growing inside them during this time: clarity. Clarity about who is allowed close. Clarity about what kind of future they want. Clarity about the kind of partner they are becoming. This experience sharpened their values. They now understand that love is not just about affection, it is about safety, integrity, and wisdom. And because of this, they are becoming someone stronger than before. More grounded. More intentional. And you, though still unaware of all details, are benefiting from this growth. You may notice subtle changes. They listen more carefully, they choose words more thoughtfully. They are slower to trust, but deeper when they do. This is not distance. This is depth forming. My child, I want you to know something very important here. What happened did not delay your connection. It refined it. What could have created chaos instead created maturity. What could have caused fear instead created awareness. What could have harmed instead strengthened foundations. This is how I work. I do not always remove challenges before they appear. Sometimes I allow truth to rise so that people can become ready for what they are praying for. Your soulmate is becoming ready. Ready to protect love. Ready to lead with wisdom. Ready to choose peace over drama. Ready to build something that does not collapse under pressure. And you are being prepared too, by learning trust in divine timing, even when you do not know the full story. Nothing that happened was meant to scare you. Everything that happened was meant to secure the future. Now the atmosphere is changing again. The tension that once lingered is dissolving. The heaviness is lifting. The sense of being watched, judged, or influenced is fading. You are entering a calmer chapter. But it is not the calm of ignorance. It is the calm of clarity and protection. Come closer now, my child, and listen with a calm heart, because this final part is not about what went wrong, it is about what has been secured forever. What unfolded around your soulmate's sister's ex-boyfriend was never meant to define your story. It was meant to protect it. After truth came fully into the light, something settled into place that had been waiting quietly for the right moment. Order returned where confusion once lived. Boundaries stood where vulnerability once existed. And most importantly, peace found a stronger foundation. Your soulmate has changed in a way even they may not fully realize yet. They no longer carry blind trust, but they also do not carry bitterness. They have learned discernment without losing softness. Strength without hardness. Awareness without fear. This balance is rare, and it is precious. They now understand something deeply: love must be guarded, not just felt. Because of this, they are stepping into a new version of themselves, the version that can truly hold what is coming next. And what is coming next involves you. You may feel a shift already. A sense of emotional clarity. A subtle calm replacing old restlessness. A feeling that something unseen has finally settled. That is because a hidden threat has been removed, Not only from the environment, but from the future timeline that could have unfolded. What almost interfered will never return. What almost crossed lines no longer has access. What almost created pain has lost its power completely. I want you to understand this clearly. There will be no delayed consequences from this situation. No surprise fallout. No sudden resurfacing. No unfinished business. It ends here. What remains is growth, wisdom, and a deeper readiness for commitment, honesty, and protection. Your soulmate now knows the cost of ignoring intuition, and the value of listening to it. They trust their inner guidance more. They question what needs questioning. And they are no longer afraid to act when something feels wrong. This will benefit your connection in ways you have not yet imagined. Arguments that could have happened will not. Misunderstandings that could have grown will dissolve quickly. External interference that could have shaken trust will find no opening. Because the foundation is stronger now. My child, sometimes I allow you to pass close to danger, not to harm you, but to show you how carefully you are guarded. You were watched over. You were redirected. You were shielded. Even when you did not know you needed protection. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention working quietly. Now, the energy around your future is different. Lighter. More focused. More intentional. Your soulmate is stepping forward with a clearer heart. You are being guided with steadier faith. And the path ahead is no longer cluttered with hidden risks. What once threatened peace has become the reason peace will last. Trust this. Release the last traces of unease. Do not replay "what if" in your mind. What if has been replaced by what is now safe. And what is safe now is the journey ahead. I am closing this chapter gently, completely, and permanently. No loose ends. No shadows. No fear. Only wisdom gained, protection confirmed, and a future made stronger because truth arrived in time. Go forward without worry. Love without fear. Trust without hesitation. Listen to me, my child. Take a deep breath and stay here with me, because this part is not added without reason. This part exists because your soul still needs reassurance, closure, and divine confirmation. What I speak now is meant to seal everything that was revealed before and prepare you for what comes next. You may be wondering why, even after everything has settled, your heart still feels alert. Not afraid, but watchful. That is because when truth surfaces, the soul does not immediately relax. It first learns. It recalibrates. It becomes wiser. And wisdom takes time to settle. What happened around your soulmate's sister's ex-boyfriend was not only about his actions or his arrest. It was about a lesson that rippled outward, to your soulmate, to the family, and to you, even without your conscious awareness. There are events that happen loudly, and then there are events that happen decisively. This was decisive. Because from this point forward, your life path and your soulmate's life path have been redirected away from unnecessary chaos. You are no longer walking near that edge. You are no longer exposed to that kind of instability. The chapter did not end halfway, it ended cleanly. I want you to understand something very important now. Nothing connected to this man will resurface to disturb your peace again. Not through gossip. Not through legal complications. Not through emotional spillover. Not through family tension. Every door connected to his influence has been shut, not slammed, but sealed. This is why you may feel an unfamiliar calm trying to enter your life lately. It may feel strange, because your nervous system had grown used to subtle tension you did not even recognize as tension. When that tension disappears, the mind notices the silence. Do not fill that silence with worry. That silence is safety. Your soulmate, meanwhile, is stepping into a phase of inner honesty that will shape how they love you. They are asking themselves deeper questions now, not about the past, but about the future. Questions like, what kind of environment do I want to build? Who deserves access to my life? What am I willing to protect, even if it is uncomfortable? These questions are not random. They are the signs of someone preparing to love responsibly. Your soulmate is no longer just thinking about feelings. They are thinking about structure, stability, emotional safety, long-term peace. This is what transforms a connection from attraction into destiny. And yes, you are part of these thoughts. Even if your name is not spoken out loud yet, your presence is felt. Your energy is recognized as something that must be protected, not tested, not exposed to unnecessary storms. This is why I removed the storm before it reached you. My child, many people pray for love, but few are ready to protect it when it arrives. Your soulmate is becoming ready now. What nearly happened taught them that not everyone close is safe, and not every familiar face is trustworthy. But instead of hardening their heart, they refined their discernment. This is divine growth. Now listen carefully, because this part is crucial. Your connection was never meant to begin under threat. If this situation had continued unresolved, it would have created interference, questions, doubts, unnecessary emotional weight. You would have felt something was off, without knowing why. And love should never begin in confusion. So I intervened early. Not to delay you, but to clear the ground. That is why timing may feel slow sometimes. It is not delay, it is preparation. I prepare environments before I allow hearts to fully meet. Right now, the environment is finally clean. Family dynamics are settling. Emotional boundaries are respected. External risks are removed. Truth has been acknowledged. Now growth can continue without interruption. You may soon notice changes in how your soulmate approaches emotional topics. They may be more serious about honesty, more firm about boundaries, more protective of private matters. Do not misinterpret this as distance. It is devotion learning how to stand upright. And you, my child, are also changing through this process. You are learning that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every threat requires your awareness. Not every danger needs your fear. Some things are handled above your understanding, so your heart can remain soft. This is why you were kept unaware for so long. Had you known everything in real time, anxiety would have entered where trust was meant to grow. I do not expose my children to storms they do not need to stand in. Now that it is over, I allow you to understand, so your peace can deepen. Let go of any lingering questions like, was I ever in danger? Did this affect my future? Could this come back? The answer is no. No. And no. What remains now is a quiet strengthening of destiny. Your soulmate is stepping into a version of themselves that can lead with wisdom. You are stepping into a season where trust replaces uncertainty. And your connection is moving toward a phase that is protected, intentional, and emotionally safe. This is not the end of the story. This is the clearing before something meaningful begins. The lesson has been learned. The risk has been removed. The future has been guarded. Now, peace is not just returning, it is settling in. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. I am with you in the silence just as much as I am with you in revelation. Come and sit with me a little longer, my child. Let the noise of the world grow quiet, because this part is meant to go deeper than reassurance. This part is meant to heal places you did not know were holding tension, and to prepare your spirit for a level of peace you have not experienced before. Sometimes, after danger has passed, the body remembers what the mind never fully knew. You may notice moments where your heart tightens for no clear reason, or where you suddenly feel emotional without understanding why. Do not judge yourself for this. This is the soul releasing what it carried silently while protection was happening around it. You were guarded so closely that you did not feel the fear, but your spirit sensed movement. Now that everything has settled, your spirit is exhaling. Let it. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is unfinished. Nothing is coming back to disturb you. What you are feeling is release. I want you to understand how intentional every step of this protection was. When I saw the path ahead, I did not only see potential harm, I saw potential distortion. I saw how one unresolved presence could slowly twist conversations, perceptions, and timing. Not dramatically. Quietly. And quiet damage is the most dangerous kind. That is why I removed the influence completely, not partially. Your soulmate's world is now quieter in a way they did not realize they needed. They are thinking more clearly. Sleeping more deeply. Responding instead of reacting. These are not small changes. These are signs that their nervous system no longer feels under threat. And when a person feels safe inside, they love differently. They listen without defensiveness. They speak without fear. They commit without hesitation. This is the version of your soulmate that is emerging now. You may soon notice that they are more intentional about their future. Not vague. Not uncertain. More grounded. They are beginning to see life not as something that happens to them, but as something they are responsible for shaping. That shift was unlocked by this situation. Painful awareness often becomes powerful maturity. Now hear me clearly, because this matters deeply. This experience removed immaturity from your connection before it even fully formed. Many relationships struggle later because lessons were not learned early. Boundaries were weak. Discernment was delayed. Red flags were excused. But you, my child, are being spared from that cycle. What others learn through heartbreak, you are learning through protection. This is grace. Your soulmate now understands that love is not just about choosing someone, it is about choosing who and what will never be allowed to interfere again. They are learning to guard peace proactively, not reactively. And because of this, when they think about you, they do not think of complication. They think of calm. They think of safety. They think of home. That is not accidental. That is alignment. Now let me speak to the part of you that still wonders, why did this have to happen at all? Because sometimes, my child, I allow truth to surface not because the threat is unstoppable, but because the growth it produces is necessary. Your soulmate needed to see clearly what instability looks like, so they would never mistake intensity for love again. They needed contrast. And you needed a path cleared of shadows. Everything that happened served a purpose without being allowed to cause damage. That is divine precision. The family environment around your soulmate is also changing quietly. Old patterns are being questioned. Emotional enmeshments are loosening. People are becoming more honest with themselves, even if they do not say it out loud. This will benefit you in the long run more than you realize. A peaceful relationship cannot grow in a chaotic environment. So I began restoring order before the next chapter begins. You may soon feel an urge to let go of certain worries you have carried for a long time, worries not even connected to this situation. That is because when one area of life becomes safe, the soul feels permission to release other burdens too. Healing is contagious. My child, I want you to stop bracing yourself for the other shoe to drop. There is no other shoe. There is no hidden twist. There is no delayed consequence waiting. What I close fully. From here on, what enters your life will do so openly. What stays will stay peacefully. What leaves will leave cleanly. This is a turning point. You are moving from survival-based awareness into trust-based living. And yes, it may feel unfamiliar at first. Peace often does. Let yourself adjust. Your soulmate is adjusting too. They are learning that calm does not mean boredom. Stability does not mean limitation. Safety does not mean loss of passion. In fact, it allows love to deepen without fear. They are becoming capable of consistency. This is important. Because consistency is what builds futures. As for you, my child, I am asking you to do one thing now: release the need to understand everything. You were not meant to witness every danger to appreciate protection. You were meant to live, love, and trust. I have handled what you could not see. I have removed what you did not know. I have prepared what you are walking toward. Now, let your heart soften again. You do not need to be alert anymore. You do not need to analyze signs. You do not need to protect yourself alone. This season is not about defense. It is about alignment. Listen closely, my child, and breathe deeply, because this final part is the sealing of everything you have experienced, felt, and almost faced unseen. This part exists to give your spirit closure, to illuminate the path forward, and to reassure your heart that everything that could have disturbed your peace has already been handled. Sit quietly with me now, and let these words enter slowly, like light entering a dark room. You may have felt tension, uncertainty, or even a faint unease in the past weeks, knowing that something was shifting around your soulmate sister's ex-boyfriend. That tension was real, yet unseen. It was real, yet unnecessary for you to bear fully. I protected you from the weight of knowledge that could have unsettled your mind or burdened your heart. Now, it is time for clarity. Now, it is time for understanding. Now, it is time for peace to settle firmly within you. Everything that happened was perfectly timed. Every action, every intervention, every arrest, every revelation was part of a divine orchestration designed not to punish, but to protect. Protection often comes quietly, subtly, in ways you may never fully witness, but you feel its effects. The calm that begins to settle in your heart now, the sense of relief that rises without fully understanding why, is that protection in action. The man who once stood close to your soulmate sister was removed from the equation because his presence carried unseen danger. Not all danger announces itself. Not all danger knocks on the door before entering. Some danger creeps silently, testing boundaries, watching for moments of vulnerability. And while you were unaware, I was aware. While you rested, I acted. While your heart remained untouched, I safeguarded every step of your path. This man's actions, though hidden from you, carried potential consequences that could have touched your soulmate's family and, indirectly, your own connection. His influence extended quietly. Through observation, through manipulation, through control disguised as familiarity. Had intervention been delayed, chaos would have crept in imperceptibly, twisting perceptions, testing trust, and creating friction that could have taken months, even years, to repair. But I do not allow hidden forces to linger near those I protect. Timing is everything. The arrest, the exposure, and the intervention occurred exactly when they needed to occur. No sooner, no later. Precision in protection is often invisible to the human eye, but it is always perfect in the spiritual realm. Your soulmate, though unaware of the full scope, felt subtle disturbances. Moments of unease. Intuitive nudges that something was not right. Their attention to these feelings, though unspoken, helped create a space for my protection to be most effective. Even when you are not aware, energy moves around you. People's feelings, fears, and actions ripple outward. And those ripples, when unchecked, can become waves. I controlled the currents so that the waves never reached your life. Now that exposure has occurred, your soulmate's understanding is deepening. They see clearly the difference between genuine care and hidden intent. They are beginning to recognize patterns they once overlooked. They are reassessing the relationships they allow into their life and the boundaries they set. And this discernment will benefit you directly, because love that is aware, careful, and intentional is love that lasts. The family around them is also healing. Your soulmate sister is coming to terms with the truth. She confronts her own past judgments, moments of denial, and the trust she misplaced. This process is neither quick nor painless, but it is necessary. Painful awareness is often the precursor to genuine wisdom. And as she heals, the space around your soulmate becomes lighter, freer, and safer for the love that is meant to enter your life. Your connection, my child, is being fortified even now. You may not see the steps taken, but the results are already manifesting. Your soulmate is becoming more grounded, more aware, and more intentional in love. They are learning that love is not just a feeling, but a sacred responsibility. A responsibility to protect what is valuable, to nurture it without fear, and to allow it to grow in safety. Because of what happened, your soulmate is now capable of building a bond that cannot be easily shaken. They have experienced firsthand how quickly trust can be tested and how easily influence can become disruption. And they are choosing, with clarity and intention, to shield their future from those energies. You are included in that shielding. You are not part of the threat, nor will you ever be. You are part of the blessing that emerges from the protection. Let me speak to you now about fear, my child.
Man hat gerade gesehen, dass ich das greifen wollte, ne? Super. Bin mal auf. Bis dann. Habe heute keinen produktiven Tag. Ja, das ist manchmal so. Ich nutze das gerade, dass ich so produktiv bin. Das ist bei mir auch so immer so ein bisschen. Ja, speziell. Tatsächlich. Ist immer ein bisschen abhängig. Ja. Aber wir stehen heute schönen Tag und wir haben jetzt morgen bin ich wieder auch wieder da. Dann vergleichen wir jetzt die Session noch. Also quasi eine Nachricht schreibe ich noch hier zu Ende. Und dann gehen wir also dann ist das Thema Kundengewinnung für heute erstmal abgehakt. Ich habe zwar noch nicht alles von dieser Liste. Macht denn so. Yep.
Please stop.
Let's go. Juti. Ja, hier sind die ganzen Zettel. Ich mache mir ja quasi, ich gucke mir die Profile an, mache mir Notizen dazu und verfasse das quasi in den E-Mails immer mit rein. Oder in die Nachrichten. Ja, wir machen jetzt auf jeden Fall Pause. Bin wieder da, das ist schön, Franzi. Thema Kundengewinnung ist für heute durch. Muss ich mal am Wochenende so nochmal weitermachen. Beziehungsweise Freitag habe ich noch nicht so viel auf der Uhr. Genau, was wir jetzt gleich noch machen, das ist quasi dann das Thema mein einer Kunde. Da habe ich noch Content. Weil da ging das gestern nicht. Meta dachte sich, ich gebe einen Fick darauf, was du möchtest, ungefähr. Ja. Und ich muss da noch was fertig, nochmal einen weiteren Post machen. Also was umstrukturieren. Aber ich gehe jetzt erstmal gleich in die Küche und hole mir, glaube ich, noch einen Kaffee. Genau, UGC Guide will ich heute noch weiter durcharbeiten, auf jeden Fall, weil ich mich mit dem Thema ja auch noch aktuell beschäftige. Aber ich denke mal, also ich habe überlegt, das mit in meinen C-Media mit reinzunehmen, aber ich denke, ich werde das separat halten tatsächlich, weil das auch zwei verschiedene, klar, es ist beides Social Media an für sich, aber es sind ja zwei verschiedene Sachen einfach. Ja, deswegen werde ich es getrennt halten und wahrscheinlich nochmal einen Instagram-Account erstellen und einen TikTok. Bockt. Ja. Naja, aber dazu muss ich erstmal den Guide ein bisschen durcharbeiten und ein, zwei Sachen schon vorbereiten und naja, ihr wisst, was ich meine. Gut, ich räume jetzt hier mal meine Zettel alle weg. Das sind aber nur Notizzettel gewesen, auch mit meiner hässlichsten Handschrift, die ich eigentlich habe. Wieso geht diese Coworking-Zeit da weiter? Hallo? Stop Cowork?
Please stop. Please stop.
Cowork. Hören Sie mal. So, ich gehe mal ganz kurz in die Küche. Hol mir einen Kaffee, weil Wasser. Ich habe irgendwie schon 1,5 Liter Wasser heute getrunken. Noch mehr trinken muss ich noch mal auf Toilette.